T-shirt. Huh? I've seen that T-shirt before, but it's just like,
I love it.
Here is John.
Here's John, the shinning.
Anyway.
Yes.
Hello. This is Movies to Drink To. I am Finn.
I'm Mr. Smith.
Cool. And today we're taking a look at another comic book movie.
Yeah.
But not one of those ones.
No.
Because we never will. It's Swamp Thing. Woo!
You make my heart sing.
Before we go on, don't forget to subscribe here and on YouTube if you're not already watching this on YouTube.
Yeah.
And share the shit out of it with everyone. If you're listening, let us know.
Yes.
Let everyone know.
If just hearing our dulcet tones isn't enough, you can see us.
Aye.
On the tube of views.
The tube of views. I don't know why that sounds so sinister. The tube of views. Ugh.
The use tube.
So, Swamp Thing. This, as I said, is a comic book, started life out. It was created by Len Wein,
Yep.
and Bernie Wrightson. He first appeared in comics in July 1971 in House of Secrets, issue number 92, in a standalone horror story before getting his own comic. The character is described as resembling an anthropomorphic mound of vegetable matter.
Yep.
And he fights to protect his swamp home. Kind of like Shrek.
A little bit like Shrek,
Kind of like Shrek, yeah.
Or like the Marvel character, Man-Thing, that came out pretty much the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, literally, Marvel and DC have their own versions of this character.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, anything else to add on the comic book front?
I don't think I've ever read Swamp Thing or Man-Thing, to be honest.
Neither of them look very good.
No.
I'm honest. They're like, ooh, a swamp thing.
Yeah. Great.
Kind of like a creature from the Black Lagoon, but he's made of vegetables or something. Cool.
I think Swamp Thing did have a run where it was written by, what's his name? The guy who did Watchmen, and I've forgotten his name. Big
Alan
Beard.
Moore.
Alan Moore.
Yeah.
Yes, Alan Moore kind of rebooted Swamp Thing and brought him like to the mainstream again, if you like.
All right.
Which he must have hated.
Could be that mainstream because I still never read any. And
No.
well, anyway. So yeah, there was a film in 1982, Swamp Thing, directed by Wes Craven. This is before Scream, before Nightmare on Elm Street. He made this, wrote and directed this.
Yes.
It stars Ray Wise, Adrian Barbeau, Louis Jordan, David Hess, Nicholas Roth, Don Knight, Reggie Batts, and Dick Durock as the Swamp Thing.
Dick Durock.
Dick Durock. The plot beeth.
The plot bears. After a violent incident with a special chemical, a research scientist is turned into a swamp plant monster.
It's actually what it says.
It's like he doesn't know. It's a swamp plant monster.
Okay. Yeah, the film starts with some writing. You got to do reading in this film. I don't
Yeah.
watch films to fucking read, and now I've got to fucking read.
It starts as it's like a weird choice of wording at the beginning. It's like, not long ago. Like, what? When did this happen? Not long ago.
This is the thing, right? This is
Like
what it
10
says.
minutes.
It says, not long ago, in the unexplored reaches of an unmapped swamp, the creative genius of one man collided with another's evil dream, and a monster was born. Also, they don't need the extra comma before "and," which they have in the text. Just point that out. That's not anyway. And then it says, too powerful to be destroyed, too intelligent to be captured. This being still pursues its savage dream. So has the film happened?
Yeah, I know. It is weird. It's like, is it? So, it's already the monster.
That's like what you'd expect from Swamp Thing 2 at the beginning.
Yeah, I know.
Why is it? Why?
Also, it's weird where it goes, this being still pursues its savage dream. And then in the same font, it comes up with a Melnica Uslan production. And like, was his savage dream a production like deal? Is that what he wanted this whole time?
It doesn't quite make sense.
No.
So you started kind of thinking like, oh, is this not an origin story? Oh, no, it is.
Oh, it is, yeah. But we've just told you what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's like a long time, not that long ago.
Not long ago.
A film
10 minutes
happened
ago.
which you're about to watch. Oh, okay. Anyway, it's a weird I don't get it. I don't understand. But that's how the film starts. And then we're introduced to Adrienne Barbeau's character. This is Cable, her name is.
Alice Cable.
Alice Cable. And she's from Washington.
Yeah.
She's one of those, just people from Washington, which refers to either the feds or the CIA or some government bureaucracy. They get... there's a lot of this in films of yesteryear, like in The Blob.
Well, they don't want to specify which agency they work for.
The people from Washington.
Yeah.
Even in Die Hard with a Vengeance, he's like, I push the button and get 500 men from Washington here. What, just 500?
random people that live
Dave
there.
Grohl's going to show up? Like, what? Like, what? Just people from Washington. Apparently it's an occupation, just being from Washington.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's your job? I'm from Washington. Oh.
So yeah, she's there in a helicopter.
She's like staring in disgust at the swamp, and then she goes, "Where's the best restaurant?" or something. And then the pilot's like, "Well, if you're human, it's back in Washington. If you're a gator, then right where we land." I had two questions here. It's like, is he asking if she's an alligator? First of all, and secondly, are they going to actually land on top of a lot of alligators? Which seconds later, my question was answered. Like, yes, they land in the swamp.
And so yeah, they're flying over the swamp, and in the swamp, David Hess is there, looking like Rambo.
Yeah, I've called him Rambo for pretty much through all of my notes, because I didn't find out what his name was until near the end.
I've just referred to him as David Hess. And army people.
Yeah, all in camouflage.
Yeah.
Like, well, they do. It's quite a cool, like, little shot actually, where the camera sort of pans across, and like David Hess appears, and then one by one they all kind of appear out of like the undergrowth and stuff, and you're like, oh, I didn't notice them there.
Yeah,
it's actually quite clever.
Seeing, camouflage actually working,
and you're like, oh, they must be highly trained. No,
they're not even army people, which we find out later. Anyway, so they're talking about Holland. This is a guy, Dr. Holland, and he's built something out there. We don't really find out what. So this woman, Cable, she is replacing a guy that's dead.
Yes.
And as they land, another guy is getting in the helicopter, and he says something like, sending a woman out here?
Yeah.
Says the guy that's quitting and going home.
Yeah.
So it's just like, a woman, you'll never make it out here. Anyway, can I go home now? He has to leave.
There's a really odd scene as well for that guy in the check shirt that's just wandering through the swamp.
Yeah, is he a local?
I think he works.
Or is he meant to be the British guy later on?
No, he's a guy that works with the secret greenhouse thing.
Right.
We'll find out in a minute.
Okay.
But he's just wandering through, and then the camo people sort of surround him, and they have a bit of a fight. And then David Hess pulls a snake out of his pocket.
A live snake,
A live snake out of his pocket. Now, I wouldn't be... I'd like to think... I wouldn't be that scared of a snake that's been in someone's pocket the whole time. You think it's got to be tame.
Yeah,
right?
It's not.
Or like, I don't know, like not... Maybe it's had all of its like dangerous taken out of it if it's been living in his pocket. But no, apparently they use it to bite his penis.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
This snake that's very venomous, which I keep in my pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm now going to use to kill you. It's not a gun, David Hess. Also, we learn that they're not actually in the army because they have Uzis, and that is not army issue.
No.
They're carrying Uzis. So yeah, that's happened. And then they're doing science stuff.
Yes.
There's like a lab.
Greenhouse.
There's like a greenhouse lab thing in the middle of the swamp with science stuff going on. There's an English guy he mentions Arcane. And he's like, is Arcane... I can't even do his English. Is he...
It's such a weird accent.
I think he's from up north. Is Arcane dead?
Well, the actor's from Canada, apparently.
Oh, okay.
But he is doing like a kind of
Northern?
Cockney sort of
I thought it sounded more northern.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a mesh of things.
General English accent.
Yeah.
So he mentions someone called Arcane. They're like, Arcane's dead? ? No one seems to know. Anyway. And they keep talking about this project, but you don't really... I don't know what's going on.
No.
And there's, like I said, they're in a secret lab thing. And then Cable meets these two people in the lab, and they are fishing around in some big pond.
Right, yeah. This is... I mean... You can tell this was made in the 80s. I'm pretty sure you couldn't get away with this scene like nowadays, because he pulls a clearly distressed and drowning possum out of a tank of water.
Yeah. The thing is, they're there for a good couple of minutes, maybe.
And he's like,
Oh, come and give us a hand, will you? Under that rock. Like, why have you put this possum in this tank of water? And why is it still down there?
Yeah.
And they pull it out and it's squealing.
It's like, fucking hell.
And this is Dr. Holland. But there's two Dr. Hollands. There's a female Dr. Holland who is possibly his sister or wife, not sure.
Well, Cable thinks it's his wife.
Yes. So we've met them. Now, Barbo, as in Cable, her and Dr. Holland, male Dr. Holland, they head out into the swamp because there's a sensor. There's a sensor out in Sector 3.
Yep.
Whatever the fuck that means. And they mention that Cable's predecessor was eaten by an alligator. And then they make bang me eyes at each other.
Yeah, it is a weird flirting scene. And then she goes, save the malarkey for your wife.
Yes. And Holland says nothing.
Nothing at all. He just kind of grins weirdly.
Yes. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is also Cable starts moaning about how much she paid for her boots that she chose to bring to a swamp. I paid a fortune for these boots. No, you're a fucking idiot.
So they get back to the lab thing after fixing the sensor in Sector 3.
Which is basically a giant Kinder Egg with some shit in it. Yeah. Just pops the lid off. Like, all this stuff is broken. It's like... that stuff was never fixed, didn't it?
They get back and the English guy is annoyed because apparently they're there to protect Dr. Holland.
Yes.
Which is not really established why, but eventually throughout most of this opening, like 20 minutes, there's so many fucking questions. You're like, what? How? Why? But you do eventually find them out, and none of the answers are interesting.
No.
And
then... what's his name? The English kind of bloke goes, she's got no right to be running around with a man like you. What?
Yeah,
what do you mean?
And also some guy called Ron is currently missing.
Which I think is check shirt guy.
The one who got the snake on the penis?
Yeah, snake penis guy. Because then you do see him afterwards. Like, there's a weird scene where the English guy is yelling at someone, and then it cuts to the Czech guy sort of flailing about in the water. So you assume he's yelling at him, and then he just dies. And then nobody pays him any attention. So, like, these two scenes aren't really supposed to be together, but they look like they are. It's really odd editing.
I'm guessing that must be Ron.
That's Ron.
Anyway, then
That was Ron.
Then there's like a bang that goes off.
Yeah.
And it turns out Lady Holland has created some kind of explosive that looks like green goo out of a parasite that was on the possum.
Something like that. Yeah. But also she's like, watch this. Like, and she dips her hand into this goo and then just flicks it at the floor and it goes fucking explodes. It's like, should you be putting your hand in there?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem very sciencey.
I mean, none of this seems very sciencey. Like GCSE students feel like that doesn't make sense. But basically, it turns out he is crossbreeding plants and animals.
Yeah.
For a reason that.
So I've created some sort of animal vegetable. Just needs the mineral.
Yeah. It's like, and this way, like, crops will grow better. What?
Yeah, but it talks about what he wants to grow a vegetable or that can grow aggressively, like to save its own life. Like, so you could grow corn in the desert.
That fights off, like, people think animals eating
it.
Yeah,
exactly. If you try and eat it, it'll bite your face off. I'm not sure.
Also, he could definitely be doing this anywhere other than a swamp.
No, it has to be in the swamp. It's the only place you can find that fucking distressed possum.
But also, when they're doing all the science stuff, and you get the classic thing of they're looking at like a monitor, a screen with like pictures of cells on it, stuff like that. It's in like every film where there's a lab. Yeah. Now look at this cell here, and they're pointing at the monitor. It's not actually a computer monitor; it's a fucking TV with like channel numbers on the side of the dial.
What is that? Channel 4.
And then we do actually find out that Lady Holland is his sister.
Yeah, much to Cable's relief.
But why didn't he say anything?
I don't know, because he thought it was it. She thinks I'm fucking my sister. Hilaire.
Lol. I know we're out in the swamp, but come on.
Just gonna let her think it.
Then Dr. Holland, male Dr. Holland this is, he notices that some plants are growing in the area that his sister blew up. And he gets so excited, he's just attaches his face to cables.
Well, he calls his
start
sister.
kissing.
He calls his sister in to watch him awkwardly kiss like Cable. He's like, "Come here!" And she walks in, and he's like, and he shoves his face on like Alice's, and his sister goes, "Oh." Like, why did you call her in just then? So odd.
Anyway, the fake army people show up, including one that looks like Alex Jones. His name's Alex Jones, the fucking
Alex Jones.
the crazy podcaster.
I know the one. Cool guy.
Yeah, but that character's actually called Bruno. But they show up and they kill some people.
Yep.
And then Cable kills some people until David Hess judo chops her.
Yeah.
Like literally Austin Powers judo chop. So yeah, there's a fight that happens, and then it is revealed. And this is like a moment in the film I was like, what the fuck? It turns out the English guy isn't actually the English guy.
No.
It's Arcane wearing an English guy face mask.
Yep.
Like Face Off or some shit. Or was it?
He like Scooby-Doo's himself.
Yeah. The English dude's, he's actually dead. The real
Ritter's
English
been
guy.
dead the whole time.
Yeah, I've been wearing his face and doing his accent, which seems like a lot of effort.
Yeah, for no real reason at
No.
all.
Other than, like, did I mention I've created face masking technology?
Yeah.
That I can wear this guy's face now? Or it's actually his face, he's just like a leather face kind of character. I don't know. But I was not expecting it.
No. No, it's just weird for the sake of being weird.
Yeah. And so this is Arcane. He is alive and he's the evil German? Is he German?
I don't know what he is. It's another accent that's really impossible to sort of tell, because sometimes he sounds Spanish. There's another point where he sounds French. Like, I don't know. Maybe he's supposed to be from everywhere.
Yeah. So anyway, he's there to steal stuff, to steal the findings, the science stuff.
Yeah.
And he shoots Lady Holland, Doctor.
Yeah, well, she fights
bastard.
back.
Yeah.
Silly woman.
Yep.
And tries to run away, and they shoot her in the back.
Yeah. So then Dr. Holland, male Dr. Holland, he tries to fight them, but then he drops the green goo dynamite stuff, and he blows up the place, and now he's on fire.
He's proper on fire.
Oh, yeah, he's well on fire.
I mean, that whole scene where the guy on fire runs out and throws himself into the swamp, I'm pretty sure there's a point where you can see him start to panic.
But all silently.
Yes, yeah.
Like, he's on fire, but he never makes a sound.
Nope.
And he runs out into the swamp, jumps into the swamp, and then there's like explosions and green stuff bubbling, and there's he's
Alice steals a book, like in the midst of all this carnage.
Yes.
She does this weird thing where she's lying on the floor and she looks up, sees the book, and she throws it underneath herself and then pretends to lie down again. It's all very weird.
So anyway, the next day, Cable is the only one left alive.
Yeah, this seems like they've taken all fucking night to get rid of a handful of bodies like into the swamp, which is right next to them. I mean, you could literally lob them in from wherever they're laying. And this whole time, Cable hasn't run away. She's still there.
She's still there. And
Undetected.
David Hess does detect her.
Yeah, eventually.
And chucks her in a swamp and drowns her.
Yep.
Until Swamp Thing woo appears and he rescues her and he punches a boat so hard that it flies up into the water with two men inside of it.
Yeah. And it makes this weird noise when it does it, which is clearly like the fucking mechanism they're using to like fly
hydraulics.
Yeah, the hydraulics. That's the word I was looking for.
So the Swamp Thing takes Cable. He hides her behind like a tiny twig with a few leaves. It's like a shrubbery.
You're safe
Not
now.
even that. It's just like, here, hide. He puts it in
his
front
twig.
of her. It's like, that's not going to hide anything. And then the army guys, they're looking for him. One of them shoots another one. That they shoot each other at some point, don't they? One of them gets confused.
Because
It's
he
the
was hiding
camouflage.
behind a plant. Yeah,
the
it was like
camouflage.
the camouflage works too well.
Yeah, and he ends up shooting his own men.
Yeah, he thinks the plant is Swamp Thing, so he shoots him. And the bloke to punish him, the guy just takes his gun off him. He's like, "No more for you. You can't be trusted." Also, this is the first time you get a really good look at Swamp Thing, and my God, the guy in that suit must have been uncomfortable. It's like an entire rubber onesie.
Yeah, it's
Like-
not great looking, is
Oh,
it?
it looks horrendous, and I imagine filming in that swamp, that heat must have been awful.
Yeah. So yeah, then Swamp Thing is just sort of picking them off. Meanwhile, over at Arcane's house, he's talking to a blonde woman who is only there so that he has someone to talk to, basically.
Like,
this is Wes Craven's wife, by the way.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, ex-wife, eventually.
I didn't
But she's literally just there so that he has someone to talk to about his evil plan in his office or whatever the fuck he's on about.
Well, she goes to, like, you should really get some sleep, sir. And he proves her completely right by chatting shit. He's like, fucking... He goes, it's lovely not to sleep, knowing that I'll soon make this substance. What? What are you on about? And then he goes, was it, talent does only what it can. Genius does what it must. Which is nonsense. And then he... Was it the last thing? Oh, it is the... It is master of man, power absolute. And I was like, yeah, mate, you should sleep. This is...
So he's stolen all of the notebooks from Holland, but he realizes he's missing one of them.
Yeah.
Which is the one that Cable has.
Yeah.
Ah.
And he figures this out by counting them. He's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There should be 7.
How do you know? There could be fucking 20. It doesn't make
That's it, because he goes, oh, this one finishes. These notes are 2 weeks old. All right, okay.
And also, Arcane only has like really hot women working for him.
Yeah, all of his staff are just hot women.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So anyway, Cable has got up and run away, and she finds a payphone doesn't work, so she goes to a gas station. And
But just before this, Arcane drives his limo right up to the swamp. So like
Does he?
Yeah, he's literally in the car, and the two fucking like David Hess, the non-army people, get out of the swamp and walk up to his window. He's like just driven right up to the swamp, and they have a conversation. Yeah, and that's when she finds the phone box by the swamp.
It doesn't work. And the gas station, and she phones Washington because there's just a number for Washington. Like, who am I through to? My name's Mrs. Cladd. That's how I'm in Washington, but like it's just a random phones Washington to talk to her boss or government people, but she is put through somehow to Arcane in his limousine.
Yeah, because apparently Ritter, the guy that he was pretending to be, was her boss.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Because he didn't seem to know who the fuck she was.
No, Charlie was her boss. The guy in the helicopter at the beginning.
Right, yeah. But then
That
they were
we
like,
didn't
well,
mention.
we're going to put you through to Ritter. And she goes, oh, I think he's been, like, killed. And they're like, no. Like, and they put it through and it's Arcane. And then like, she's like, she was there when he took the mask off.
Yeah.
And she still doesn't figure it out. Like, she's just like, oh, I thought he was dead. He's like, no, I was called away.
Well, this is the thing. Like, so he's in his limousine, right? And she's been patched through to him somehow. God, I don't know how. And so he's talking to her, pretending to be like her boss. And he's putting on a voice.
Yeah.
And he says to her, where are you? We'll come pick you up. And she's like, I'm just south of the swamp at this gas station. Okay, stay there. We'll come pick you up. And then before he hangs up the phone, he's like, Tonesy, cut around! What if she heard that? Like, hang on.
Yeah. Something's not right here.
Hang up first and then go back to it. Doesn't make any sense.
It's fucking bizarre. And this petrol station or gas station or
we
whatever
meet
is owned
Jude.
by a child.
Yeah. Like a
There's like
12-year-old
this
kid running it.
Yeah. And there's this huge Coca-Cola advert in the middle. Like, for this gas station's like full of old shit, and there's this brand spanking new Coca-Cola machine in the middle.
And Jude is just drinking Coca-Cola all the time.
Yeah. And look, just you have to bash it, and he punches it, and a Coke bottle comes out, and they all drink it with the fucking logo facing the camera.
I love Jude, though. He's probably my favourite
He's the
thing
best
about
thing.
this whole
He's
film.
the funniest thing in this film.
He's got an answer for everything.
Yeah,
He's such a wise ass.
As soon as she turns up, like, as soon as Cable turns up, he's like, "Here comes trouble."
Yeah. And also, he wasn't really an actor. He was just a local kid they found.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he can't really act, but that just makes it so much better. He's so like deadpan throughout the whole film, isn't
Because
he?
one of my favourite lines in the whole film is like, well, when they all turn up, obviously, like to find her, and she ducks behind the thing, and she goes, "Have you got a gun?" He goes, "What kind of place do you think this is?" Of course there is.
So yeah, we're introduced to Jude. The bad guys show up, and Cable runs off, and they're chasing her.
She
Through
gets
the
a
swamp.
case of the vapors and just falls over. But when she stands up, she's clearly a stuntman.
They're in a Jeep and she's running away from them. But then Swamp Thing shows up. Woo! and he just stands there, and they crash into him, but he's so fucking hard
Yeah.
that he's fine, and he rips the roof off of the Jeep and just starts fucking throwing people away.
around.
And
He A-teams them.
Yeah, and we get like a real good look at his face, like you said. Then it looks shit.
It's awful.
It really doesn't look good.
Poor bloke, fucking like clearly like it's been dripped into that, and like this thing stuck to his face. Yeah, it just looks awful. Like the whole mouth and shit can't move.
Yeah,
Like yeah, it's awful.
she's pretty ungrateful though.
Oh yeah, well damn grateful.
Yeah.
Like seeing as he just saved her.
She's like, shoo, go away.
That's it. Yeah, shoo, shoo.
Yeah,
Go away.
and then
he's
Jude
like,
shows up
"Aw."
out of nowhere, just for reasons.
Yeah, like there's a trapper's cabin round the corner. We'll get you a change of clothes. Trapper's cabin. I mean, how many clothes do they have that would,
It's just a raccoon hat, and that's it.
Yeah. Oh, look at all this fresh clothing.
Then this is my favorite scene, or these two bits in the whole film. David Hess and Alex Jones, but not Alex Jones.
Yeah.
They go back to Arcane's house, and they're talking to him, and he wants to capture the Swamp Thing, all right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to capture this thing, this Swamp Thing, this beast. And they're like, how? And Arcane says, it doesn't exactly maintain a low profile. Immediately cut to the Swamp Thing standing in the middle of the swamp, arms outstretched, just screaming "Ah!" for no reason.
Just yelling at birds.
Yeah. It's like, he really doesn't, does he? Ah! What are you doing?
Swamp Thing lives a highly secretive life. All these birds fucking off in different directions.
It's just like, as soon as he sees a person, I'm the Swamp Thing, by the way. Ah!
Do you want to hang out? Where are you going?
Swamp. Jesus Christ. Oh, it fucking cracks me up. So, yeah, then Swamp Thing, I think there's a scene with Jude and Cable on the boat, but I don't care. The Swamp Thing finally goes back to his lab, and obviously finds it's been destroyed.
Yeah.
And then Jude and Cable show up.
At the exact same time.
Yep. And then there's this really weird bit. He finds Lady Dr. Holland's necklace,
Yeah.
which is one of those ones where you open up and there's two pictures inside.
Yeah.
And inside, the two pictures are her and her brother.
Yeah, I know.
That's fucking weird. That's really
They were
weird.
very close. That's why, like, when she was like, when Cable thought that it was his wife, he's like, you're kind of right.
Like, if my sister had a necklace with a picture of me inside
Yeah,
of
I
it, I'm
know.
like, what? No, get that off. What the fuck? That's just weird. It's so odd. Like, literally anyone but your sibling. A dog, your mother, your father, a fucking... Like anyone.
Yeah.
It's like, what's in the necklace? Picture of my sister. That's fucking weird. Jesus. So yeah, the lab has been destroyed, and but then Swamp Thing, he tries to do lab stuff, but he can't because he's too Swamp Thingy.
Yeah, his hands are rubbish.
He breaks everything, and he starts screaming some more because
Yeah.
he can't do anything.
Like, fuck, I'm made entirely of rubber now, and I can't pick things up.
These Mr. Blobby green gloves are too...
Yeah.
I can't pick up my Bunsen burner.
Feel anything.
So he walks around sad, and then he smells some flowers.
Well, Alice is there. She finds the book that she hid in a wildly obvious place. It's not even hidden at all. It's literally on the floor. Anyone could have found it, but they didn't. She's like, oh, there it is.
David Hess and Alex Jones, they're on their way in the fan boats.
Yes.
Yeah, and they all show up, and a big old fight happens. And this is like out in kind of the water, isn't it? With like the whatever they're called, Everglades, is it? Something like that.
I'm not sure where this is supposed to be set.
I think it's supposed to be set in Louisiana. No, Everglades is Florida, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's out in the water, basically. And they're chasing around the Swamp Thing in their boats. And at one point, David Hess is like, I've got him cornered. How?
Yeah. I've got him cornered in
a
this
lake.
wide open swamp.
Yeah, I've got him cornered in
Where
this
do you think you are?
big body of water. It doesn't make any... Like, what do you got him cornered? There's a boat that crashes into the Swamp Thing. And then they're all like, they're shooting and they're throwing grenades at him.
Yeah, they literally grenade him.
They lose him. It's And then he just appears out of
It's such
nowhere
a
again.
messy
It's put
sort
together
of-
so
yeah.
badly. And then they're all thrown out of the boat at some point. Then there's a big explosion, I
Yeah,
think.
two boats collide and burst into flames. I mean, the way they just blew up with such ease, you'd be like, you shouldn't have been on them in the first place. They could have gone over
No.
a rock and just
I think
burst into flames.
I think it's then indicated that he's blown up, but not.
Yeah.
It's really not clear. Later on, back over at Arcane's house, there's just this real quick scene where Arcane compares the Swamp Thing to a brilliant chess player.
Well, he's sat on a boat, isn't he, with his shirt off, and he looks like a prisoner of war. I'm sorry, he's just like he stood there with his shirt off on his boat, and he's talking about how he's a strategist. He's always one step ahead. Like, what the fuck
He's
are you on about?
running around screaming and just
No, guy, so clever,
throwing people around and just like, it's like Hulk
jumping out of the reeds.
Yeah.
He's like that Russian chess player. It's fucking amazing.
Like, no, he's not. You clearly weren't there, Arcane. Like, no, he fucking isn't.
It's another, he still hasn't slept, clearly. It's just go to bed, man. You fucking don't know what you're talking about.
No, I'll just have a Red Bull. I'll be all right.
Oh, checkmate, Swampy. Checkmate.
So then Cable and Jude get on their boat and then they get over to land and Cable gives Jude the notebook
Yeah.
for safekeeping.
Yeah.
And then he immediately
A
dies.
child. She gives a child the book.
He's
just for
immediately
safekeeping.
killed as well.
Immediately.
As soon as he gets the book and she walks off, bang, he's dead. David Hess kills him and then he captures Cable again.
Yep.
And then Swamp Thing comes along a bit afterwards and he finds Jude and he brings him back to life because apparently that's a power he has.
Yeah.
Is it? I
don't know.
Apparently he can raise the dead.
I'm sure that can't be a power in the fucking comic books. He brings dead people back to life.
I don't know. Maybe. And Jude hands him the notebook.
Yeah.
So it's safely back in its creator's hands,
Yeah, and he
essentially.
holds it up to his face like he's going to eat it. Like he doesn't, what is this? Oh, it's a book.
And then David Hess brings Cable to Arcane's boat and he forces himself on her sexually.
Yeah.
So she kicks him in the balls.
Kicks him in the balls and throws him in the water.
Yeah,
and then
and
jumps
then-
in the water.
Yeah, and then jumps in the water and swims away. And she gets over to the land and runs into the Swamp Thing, who can now speak.
Yes. He's figured it out now.
Yes. So he can now speak. But then David Hess is hot on their pursuit.
Yep.
And he shows up back on the land as well. And they have a little fight. And David Hess cuts Swamp Thing's arm off.
Yes. This is where I found out that David Hess was called Ferret.
Yes, that is his character's name.
Yeah,
yes.
I didn't
But you
realise that
you
until
don't
like this
find it
far
out.
into the film.
And then, so he's cut his arm off. And Swamp Thing grabs David Hess by the hair and pushes him down onto the floor, which kills him.
Oh yeah, yeah. He crushes his skull.
Does he?
Well, I think that's what he's supposed to do. There's like fucking blood or something coming out of his mouth and stuff. But yeah, it just looks like he's kind of.
It looks like he's just holding him by the hair and
Yeah,
pushing
just
him
pushing
down.
him down. But I think he's supposed to be crushing his skull.
I did not get that.
Well, that's what I
impression.
took it for anyway.
It's one of the worst deaths on film ever.
It is awful. It is
Fucking
rubbish.
terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, down you go. Oh, I'm dying of blood. I'm just pushing you down. It's okay. Oh, yeah, it's fucking terrible. So after David Hess is killed poorly, Cable and the Swamp Thing have a chat about some boring stuff. And she figures out...
Vapors again, like fucking after watching him get his head pushed down.
Oh, yeah, she faints, yeah.
Yeah, and she wakes up with like Swampy just batting flowers in her face. Like, wake up.
Yeah, they
And he
have...
well actually's her because she goes, "Oh, orchids! I love orchids." And he's like, "Well, actually, they're called Orchideus dominus." So, all right, mate. Fucking hell.
Yeah, she figures out that it's Holland.
Yeah,
And then he watches her bathe.
yeah.
Now, if you're lucky enough to live in Europe, you will see her boobs. Adrian
Right, I watched
Barbeau's...
it on YouTube, and they were like, "No."
No, they cut... yeah, in America, it was cut out. And that's the version that ended up on YouTube, I believe.
It's quite a hefty cut as well. You can
Yeah, it's
see,
really
like,
obvious.
It's like,
It's no boobs for you. Yeah, you know, even since '82, European version, we got Barbeau's boobs. Americans did not. Never mind, eh? But yeah, you can just Google that shit now. Not that I did. And then he throws away his notebook.
Yeah, no, what does he?
Yeah, he just throws his notebook. He's like, whoa, kind of like Luke Skywalker with his lightsaber in whichever one of those films it was, where he's just like, whoa, just throws his
Just
notebook.
lobs it after all that. People have died to get this.
Yeah.
And then he's like, nah.
Yeah, he just throws it away. He's like, I don't need that. And then the bad guys show up, and Cable is captured again. Third time?
Yeah.
Third time in this film. And Arcane is there, and he captures the Swamp Thing in a net.
And he comes out with this fucking line that, again, makes no fucking sense. He goes, the man who loves gives hostages to fortune. What?
What?
I was like, I've rewound it. I was like, I've missed something there. And I was like, nope, the man who loves gives hostages to fortune. That's just words. Like, that doesn't mean anything. No.
I know those words, but that sentence makes no sense.
No. Get some fucking sleep.
And then Alex Jones, he shows up. He's found the notebook just in the wilderness.
Yeah.
It was just thrown into the wilderness. He's like, hey, I found it. Like, oh, wow, that was extremely fucking convenient. So that evening at Arcane's house, there's a dinner party going on.
Yeah, this is weird.
This is weird. At the dinner party, Cable is there and she is tied up to a chair.
Tied to a chair.
At the table, which all these people
are fine with.
Have no problem. All these people that have not taken part in any of the events leading up to this
Yeah.
they're just here for dinner.
Yeah.
And there's a woman there tied to a chair. It's like, no one says, like, who's this, by the way, Arcane?
Should we be worried about this?
Is he into something dodgy? Is there something weird going on here? I know he's rich.
Yeah. It is, yeah. It's awkward and weird.
And then they all they have a toast and they all cheers and they're toasting.
Well, they toasting David Hess.
No, they're toasting Alex Jones.
Well, first of all, he mentions it goes for like ferret that can't be with us, and then the seat next to Cable has got his fucking red headband across the top of it, tied around the top of it.
I didn't spot that. But yeah, they have a toast to Bruno, aka the one that looks like Alex Jones, because he's the one that found the notebook.
Yes.
So they're like, oh yes,
if it wasn't
here's
for
to
him.
you. Yep. So they all toast and they all drink up, but Arcane has poisoned Alex's Jones' drink with formula.
Yep.
Yes. And this formula, basically, Alex Jones dies loudly.
Yeah.
Very fucking loudly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing.
Yeah.
It's like, and he falls down under the table.
Yeah.
And he comes back up and he's transformed into this tiny wolf chimpanzee thing.
Yeah. It's like the island of Dr. Moreau, but weirder.
Yeah, kind of. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think he comes back as a dwarf monkey.
What did I put? Yeah, it's like wolf chimp. Wolf chimp thing. So then, okay, Arcane goes in the dungeon
that he's got under his house.
Yes, of course he does.
Yeah,
he's an evil guy.
I mean, it's a huge dungeon, but you can't use electricity down there.
No,
you need a giant flaming torch to see anything. Yeah. You're gonna have electricity upstairs, but not in the dungeon because that's for naughty people.
So Arcane goes to have a chat with the Swamp Thing, and he brings in a tiny Alex Jones thing.
Yeah.
And he's just like, why doesn't he basically, the idea was he thought that the formula would turn Alex Jones into a new Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
And he says, like, listen,
Make him strong.
Yeah, look at this. Why does my experiment suck?
Yeah.
And the whole idea is that the formula is sound and it is the same stuff that he's recreated, but it enhances what you are.
Your essence.
So Dr. Holland was a strong, intelligent man. So he became a stupid green monster. Yeah, thing.
Was Alex Essence vegetation?
When he says that Bruno, the Alex Jones looking guy, said, well, it turns out he's stupid.
Yeah,
and that's why he's
made him a dwarf.
A dwarf chimpanzee wolf thing. I don't know. Again, that's the all right. Then
he does say the word. He goes, look, he shwank.
There's a couple of scenes then that I just didn't really pay attention. But basically, Arcane takes the formula himself.
He takes the formula Because he figures that because he's a genius,
Yeah.
and because he basically says to Swampy, he's like, so if you're a genius, like, and that's your essence is being a genius, then it will accentuate that, and it's like, meh,
I'll be a genius.
yeah. So he's like, I'll be a super genius. So he drinks it,
And he gets giant hands, and he goes all crusty, and he melts.
well, he turns into a massive scab. First of all, like his head goes all scabby and weird, like his hands turn into like claymation gloves or something, and then he just in the next scene he's like a massive turd.
Meanwhile, Swamp Thing downstairs, he regrows his arm and he escapes.
Yeah, because he puts his hand up to
the sun.
to the sun.
Photosynthesis!
That's it. Yeah, he grows this new arm, which is like this tiny little
Baby Groot hand.
yeah, Deadpool thing, like fucking good baby arm, and it comes in. It's got little tiny fingers, like baby Groot fingers. Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
And then we see what Arcane has turned into, which is a pig
werewolf?
werewolf. Oh, yeah, pig werewolf kind of thing.
Yeah, I go pig wolf.
Yeah. And he's all looking fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean it's the worst.
It's terrible.
I mean, he's just this fucking obvious
It's like a
plastic
Halloween.
mask.
It's like a Halloween store bought like thing that is fucking
where
awful.
nothing moves at all. Like it's just it's a mask. It's like the worst mask.
And then so this pig thing
Pig wolf.
grabs a sword as well.
He's got a sword now.
He's got a sword.
So he's super dangerous.
Yeah.
Why does he need a sword? Like, I
don't know.
He's like rows of teeth. It's because he can't bite anything.
Because his
the
mouth
fucking
doesn't
face-
move.
It doesn't move at all.
So Swamp Thing and Cable, they escape via a well in the basement that leads to a spring in the swamp.
Yeah, I know. That's,
What?
What's that for?
A spring?
It's not drinking water.
It's like a spring in,
In the
swamp.
middle of the swamp.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, you could bottle this stuff in the swamp and drink it. It's like Evian. But also there's a well which leads to an underground basement thing. What? Come
It's
on.
his own water. It's called arcane water, fresh from the swamp.
Doesn't
It's like
make
drinking real swamp water. Hasn't sold at all. Haven't sold one bottle. Can't figure out why.
doesn't make any sense. Like I love Wes Craven, but what the fuck?
Yeah, I know.
So they escape via that bollocks
Thing.
and but Arcane follows them, and they get out into the swamp and they have a fight.
Yep.
Swamp Thing versus werepig monster with a sword. At some point, Cable is stabbed, but then
Well, Swamp Thing uses her as a human shield. He literally runs behind her, and fucking pig wolf comes up and goes stab, and he's like, "Oh,
But it's fine because Swamp Thing brings her back to life. Obviously,
yeah." And then gives her some grass to put on it, which I didn't figure out. I was like, "Why is that?" Because he basically molests her.
Like,
He's
any
like,
chance to grab them titties?
Yeah, he's like fucking hand there, and he's like, "It's been 10 minutes. Didn't take this long to sort the kid out." And then I was like, "Why is there a massive green? Is it a handprint? Has he left a handprint there?"
Just
and turns out
splooged
he's
all
given
over
her
her
some
tits.
moss or something to put there,
Oh
which
god.
I suppose I don't know to mop up. Fuck knows.
His mess, his green mess as he's spunked all over her chest. Brilliant. Yeah, they fight, and then Arcane is dead until he isn't.
Yeah, comes back,
and
then dies again.
then dies again, and then Swamp Thing just walks off into the swamp.
Yep.
Then Jude reappears
Yes.
for just to crack a line at the end.
I can't remember what it is.
I don't
didn't
know.
write it down. He's like, "Do you reckon he'll be back or something?" And she's like, "For the sequel that we're hoping to get."
And that's it.
Yeah, he literally just fucks off.
That's that film. What did you think?
I've got to be honest. I was so bored halfway through the film.
I was really bored about halfway. Yeah.
I was like, fucking. It was. Yeah, I had to really struggle through it and stuff. And while there is some wildly amusing bits with how bad it is and how terrible it is dull.
Yeah, it ain't great.
No.
It feels it's weird. It feels, even though it's pretty boring at parts and it seems to go on forever, it still feels like really rushed.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
the whole thing feels pretty pointless. Like I don't care about anything that's going on, or
It looks like
other
it
than
had
Jude and
It looks like it had a budget of about 50 quid.
yeah,
Like-
Jude and Adrian Barbeau, just because she's a very beautiful woman.
Yeah.
But like, you just, I just don't. I'm not interested. I don't care. Also, where's the horror in this? Because this film is supposed to be a sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
It's not. It's pretty silly.
Yeah, it's dumb as fuck. I mean, Ray Wise is quite a good actor. He's been in loads of stuff over the years and stuff, and he's only really in this for like 10 minutes, and that's not him in the fucking
no, it's definitely
the Swamp
not.
Thing.
Dick Durock.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, like I said, written and directed by Wes Craven, who will be remembered as like, a master of horror, as he should be.
Yeah.
But there was a time in his career where he really didn't know what he was doing. And this is
that.
A lot of evidence of that. Remember Last House on the Left?
Yes.
Which David Hess is also in.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, that film gets kind of remembered as being like
it's like a
extreme kind of...
what's the word I'm looking for? It's it's an early horror sort of...
sort of a grindhouse kind of affair, and sort of along the lines of like extreme horror. But people don't forget there is that really weird scene in Last House on the Left where there's like they're playing, it's really slapstick, and they're playing the hillbilly getaway music as like the cars going down the road, and it's just completely stupid. It doesn't fit in the film at all. And years later, Wes Craven said like, "Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know." And with this, it's. I mean, he turned out to be a great director, but at the start of his career, this is fucking awful.
We did an episode a while back, like the worst of the best. For Wes Craven, we did Vampire in Brooklyn. I mean, I feel like this is way worse than Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I mean, Vampire in Brooklyn is a dull film.
It's incredibly boring.
But
Vampire in Brooklyn,
budget.
Vampire in Brooklyn is supposed to be a comedy. In a way.
Well, yeah, but it's wildly unfunny.
Yeah, whereas this is not supposed to be a comedy, but it's kind of funny because it's so bad.
Yeah.
It's really not great. I guess fans of maybe like kind of like I said, sort of the old kind of 50s B movies. It's a bit like Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde thing going on, but I can see his influences, but like it's none of it works.
None of it.
And it's mainly because it is badly written, it's badly edited, and it's very cheap looking. It's a cheap film, and it looks
Do you know what was the budget?
The budget of this was 2.5 million.
Fucking hell, that seems like a lot for... I mean, that's nothing for a film, but for what it ends up on screen, where did that go?
Do you want to know how much money it made?
Go on.
3 million.
Fucking, it made money. It made $500,000.
Well, no, if you take into like, distribution and advertising, it made no money. It really made nothing. Okay. Some trivia for you. Dick Durock was only supposed to do stunts, but him and Ray Wise looked so different in the costumes
that he ended up stuck in it.
They couldn't use Ray Wise in any shots as Swamp Thing. So Dick Durock had to do all of it, which he was not hired for. It was not his job.
I bet Ray Wise was well upset about that, and you can tell, like in loads of the scenes, Dick Durock's not happy in that stuff. He's like,
Wes Craven had never heard of Swamp Thing or actually read any comics growing up because they were banned by his church.
His church?
Yeah, he grew up in a religious household. Yeah.
I mean, it shows that he didn't know what the property was at all.
So Adrian Barbeau, only nude in the Europe, we know that. This was not good for Wes Craven's career. In fact, he went broke after this, and he lost his house, and he even had to borrow money from Sean S. Cunningham, director of Friday the 13th.
Jesus, yeah.
And it wasn't until he made Nightmare on Elm Street that his career got back together, basically. Which was only 2 years, but it was probably a tough 2 years for that bloke.
Yeah, imagine just regretting the shit out of that film and having it being out. And no one seeing it.
Yeah. It's like, for 2 years until anyone saw anything, he's like, I really need to make something good. Because I cannot be remembered for that. The guy who was in the Arcane's werewolf pig costume thing, he actually fainted during filming.
On purpose.
No, because it was that hot.
Well, yeah, like if you're going to film in a swamp,
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Dressed
Dick
up in
Durock
latex
didn't.
and masks, and
Yeah.
I think he nearly did, but the
He
guy,
must have done.
yeah, the guy that was the pig werewolf thing, he actually did faint.
Pussy.
This is my favourite bit of trivia.
Go
And
on.
this actually goes across, this can be included in Nightmare on Elm Street trivia as well. Anthony Caesar, I think I'm pronouncing that right, he was the stunt man that did the fire on the full body stunt,
Right,
fire
yeah.
stunt, and he was also in Nightmare on Elm Street. And
The guy coming down the stairs.
yeah, it's the same bloke, right?
Ah.
He taught himself
Yeah, I've
to
heard
do
that.
this
Like,
by experimenting with different chemicals and setting himself on fire next to a swimming pool. They don't make him like that anymore, do they?
No.
He's a
Jesus Christ.
what a fucking lunatic.
I heard a story about when they did that scene in Nightmare on Elm Street, and it was supposed to be much shorter.
Yeah.
Because
he
he's supposed to give a signal for when to put him out, and he just kept going. And
Yeah.
they're like, "Should we just put him out?" And
Yeah,
was
because he was
"No."
never
Like,
in Nightmare. He was never meant to go up the stairs in Nightmare on Elm
that's
Street.
it. Yeah, and he keeps falling down and getting back up.
Yeah, and he
like,
kept he kept going. What a lunatic.
yeah, nutcase.
Absolute. I mean, the right guy for the job, but Jesus Christ. Comments. I've left them on my phone again.
I didn't get any, like at all.
I don't think many
for this
people have
film.
seen this. to be
No, I
honest with
don't
you.
think they have.
I mean, you're not missing out.
No, yeah, literally, not a one. Let's have a quick look, just in case I'm wrong. Yeah, no, nothing.
No, nothing. No one's seen it.
No,
But like you're not missing out.
no,
It's
not at all.
fucking crap.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise watching this. Jesus Christ, unless there's no other films left
In the world.
In the world, or yeah, no, there's always something better to do than watch this.
Yeah. There was a sequel in 1989.
Yep.
Yep. Return of Swamp Thing with Hera Locklear.
Yes.
And Louis Jordan came back as Arcane. How?
He turned into a werepig monster and then was stabbed with a sword.
Yeah, so he's not dead, and also he's not a werepig monster anymore. Because I watched it before I came around.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I sort of half watched it. I was doing other things. But yeah, with the sequel, they decided to go full, like, oh, it's a comedy. Like, the first one was so shit that people laughed at it. They were like, oh, well, that's because it's a comedy.
Yeah, deliberate.
Yeah, obviously. Come on. It's not. But they decided to just make it a comedy / horror thing. It's not funny. It's not good at all. And how Arcane is back. I wasn't fully paying attention, but I don't think it's explained at all.
At all. He's just there.
No. But something interesting, it was directed by a guy called Jim Weinowski.
Jim Weinowski.
All
right.
And he also directed Chopping Mall, which is a brilliant 80s slasher. And you should all definitely watch that.
I've still not seen that.
But it's on Shudder. But whilst I was like looking through the stuff on IMDb, I was like, oh, he directed Chopping Mall? No way. I love that film. What else has he directed? A lot of porn. And here are some of the titles of the pornos he's directed. The Bear Wench Project.
Right.
The Nymphs of Mystery Mountain. The Witches of Breastwick, 1 and 2. The Breastford Wives.
Right.
Alabama Jones and the Busty Crusade. Possibly my favourite. House on Hooter Hill. Cleavage Field. Is it a parody of Cloverfield?
Cloverfield.
Yeah. The Devil Wears Nada. And The Hills Have Thighs.
I kind of want to see Cleavage Field.
Kind of want to see all of them. The sequel wasn't successful, obviously. There was also a TV show that ran from 1990 to 1993.
Yep.
I haven't
vaguely
seen.
remember that.
There was a cartoon in
remember the
1919 which lasted 5 episodes.
Was it?
Yeah, it's only 5 episodes of it.
I remember watching it as a kid.
Yeah.
I swear. I thought it's one of those things I thought it went on
Maybe
for
you just
longer
watched
than
it. It was like the only VHS you had, and you watched it over
that.
and
I've
over
only
again.
ever saw those 5 episodes and not in sequence.
Probably make more sense out of sequence than this film makes.
Yeah.
And there was
the recent one.
There was a uber violent TV series of it again in 2019.
Yeah.
Which was cancelled after one season.
I have to admit, I tried to watch the first episode and I got really bored.
I watched the first episode and I didn't hate it, but
I was told by loads of people it was really good. And
it's got really good. I might give it another go. It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
And it has got some really good reviews.
I always meant to go back to it because loads of people did tell me it was good. But
Yeah.
I really struggled with that first episode. And usually when that happens, I will give up.
Yeah. So I might get back to it. But yeah, generally this intellectual property is not done very well.
No.
2 shit films, cancelled TV shows.
Yeah.
But like we said at the beginning, it's not that interesting.
No.
Not that interested in the swamp thing, really. So
Yeah, not at all.
no, never mind. Well, I guess I'm sure there's someone out there like
There are.
I mean, people
huge
must
fans
like
of
it.
Swamp
Yeah,
Thing.
there must
are
be.
Like loads of like.
it's been going from the 70s, and
Yeah.
people have made efforts to make films and make. Was it James Wan that produced that TV show a couple of years ago?
I think so.
Or one of the producers. So, yeah.
I mean, it's had loads of runs through the comics, Swamp Thing, like, and
Yeah.
some of them are quite celebrated and stuff, like the Alan Moore stuff. I don't think, I'm sure it is Alan Moore that did that. But yeah, he's had like historically had loads of comic book stories that are renowned as being really good. I've never read them because the character doesn't interest me.
No, so it doesn't really interest me either. Obviously, there must be fans out there because obviously people are still trying to. I mean, I can't see anything happening now for a while.
I think that TV series is probably
After that got cancelled, yeah. No one's in a rush to make a film or anything like that. But we shall see. Who knows? They might try and reboot it like they reboot everything.
Yes.
Next year. Starring Robert Pattinson. Okay. That's it. We're off.
Okay.
Don't forget, I've probably said all that crap.
Yeah, all of those things.
Yeah. See you later.
Cheers. Bye.